Hey there, Knicks fans. How you doing? It's your boy Jonathan Macri with you for a very, 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 very special episode of the Knicks Film School Podcast because this person has not been on in a while. Bad job by us. There should never be more than like a few weeks without a little Futty in our lives. He may be striking, but he's not striking from the Knicks Film School Podcast.
That's right. Yeah, don't mention anything that I'm working on. Don't mention, I'm not allowed to push anything that I'm in. So this is just as a friend. I'm here as a friend, not as a world famous actor. I'm just here.
Well, that makes it so much less interesting.
Sorry. I'm here as a Knicks fan who also happens to do something else that I can't talk about right now.
Andrew just reminded us in the chat, reminder that this is, so we're, full disclosure, we're recording this at the end of July. It's recorded. You're hearing this a little bit later. So in theory, the strike could be over by the time people are hearing
it. Won't
this.
be. It won't.
What do you think the odds of that?
I think the Pistons have as good a chance to win the championship this year as the strike being over in a week. So,
interesting. You went with the Pistons. That you know what? That might be.
I mean, are they the most like hopeless situation right now? The Hornets are up there. The Hornets have LaMelo at least, but the Hornets are up there. The Rockets.
The Hornets are sadder, maybe, but I don't know, man. The Pistons
the Pistons are sadder because look at how much money you had to give to a coach to come to a coach.
What was it? $80 million or some obscene thing?
I mean, he's giving him Bezos money to coach that team. So yeah, I think that is a situation.
That's fair. When's the last time you went to Detroit?
Never been. And actually my family spent 10 years there before, like pre-Futty. My sister was born there and then they moved to Long Island. And then everything changed. Then I was born. But never been.
Style pizza. That's why I asked.
I am too. Actually, I didn't think I would be because I'm a New Haven pizza guy, so the thinner the crust, the better to me. But I do really love Detroit style. It's grown on me.
Yeah, no,
it's everywhere.
I was about to say there's a couple of good Detroit style spots here in Brooklyn. We're off to a rousing start talking about pizza and Pistons.
Sorry. We want to talk about like Trevor Keel's highlights.
We're going to get into the Nathan Knight of it all. So,
and it wasn't a lot of action coming out of Summer League not a lot of content coming out of the Knicks camp. Summer League this year. I don't know why.
Not so much, which is fine. Fine. You know what? It gave us a chance to take a breath, and it gave us ample time to prepare for this episode, which we've both obviously been preparing for weeks. Where even though you are on strike, you can still host awards programs apparently, or I guess maybe I'm the host. I don't know.
You're the
presenter. I'm the host. I don't know. Maybe Andrew's the producer.
I guess host. No, I can't be a presenter because usually people who are presenting are there because they're like promoting something.
That's true.
Whereas the host is just a host. So let's say we're co-hosting.
Have you thought about what you would wear to the Oscars?
No.
Never once thought about what you would wear to the Oscars.
No, and I'm so like fashion inept. Like I would keep it simple and just a nice classic tux.
I've seen enough pictures of you to know that you are not fashion inept.
Oh, really? You've been looking at a lot of pictures of me. Interesting.
No, I've seen.
That's fine.
I'm stalking. Are you on Facebook? I don't even know who's on Facebook because I don't go on. No. But that would be
I go to Facebook because for some stupid reason I still have my notifications on. So I'll go to Facebook just to undo my notifications every day.
It's a worthy expenditure of time.
Yeah.
Sometimes when I'm bored, I will scroll for 5 minutes but not look at the names, just look at the pictures to see how many people I can properly identify.
Yeah, there are definitely people where you're like, who is this again?
It's like most people.
Yeah.
I've made a lot of new friends in a while. Futty, you're one of the few in the crowd. Okay,
yeah,
so
haven't thought about the Oscar wardrobe. I think maybe
that's the way to go.
Let's start at like being a series regular on a TV show. Let's start there. Oscar talk, maybe a couple years down the road. We'll see. We'll see if the strike ever ends. We'll see what happens next year.
Eventually.
Yeah, eventually.
We'll get there. Okay, so I'm pulling up our categories here. So we did this last year. Yeah. We're going to do it again. We're giving out awards to certain Knicks. How do we do this again? Andrew, I think we may need to pull Andrew in here because I'm inept.
Do we just go back and forth?
Is that
it? Gets it. Yes. You're literally just saying the awards.
Okay.
And then you're giving the award to a person. And these are totally real awards that
they're all
pay
real.
attention to. Yes, totally. So you're going to say an award.
We say the award and then Futty gives it to someone and then I give it to someone?
Yes, that's how award shows work.
Oh, John, the summer heat has gotten to your brain.
This isn't the summer heat. This is just it's just me.
It's just sadly just your brain.
Yes. Okay. See, this is why this is what happens when the writers are on strike.
It's been a year since we've done this, you know what I mean?
Well, that too.
To regroup.
That's what we'll do.
Yeah.
Before we get into the categories, because I haven't talked to you since the season ended.
Yes.
How you feeling about the year that we just had with the Knicks?
I mean, cautiously optimistic. It's always cautious until we string together like a number of seasons in a row where we feel confident about the future of this team. It's always cautious, but I try to focus on the Cavs series more than the second round. I mean, look, obviously Julius was playing on one ankle.
Yep.
I'm a little upset by the disappearance of IQ in the playoffs. I'm not going to overreact to that, but I was expecting more just because he had gotten us so hyped over the season. I mean, he took such a leap.
He raised the bar so high.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's still one of my favorite Knicks. You know, he and Josh Hart, the back end of the season were just such spark plugs for us. And, you give it up to Spo. That man has a plan, and we were out coached and we were not as healthy as we could be, but neither were the Heat. And the second round was tough to swallow.
It was tough.
We were playing with house money in the first round, I felt like, and then the second round, you talked yourself into. At least I talked myself into thinking that it would be more of a series. I'm not surprised that they lost to them because, that team just it seems like the best thing that ever happened to them was Tyler Hero getting hurt.
Oh,
I hate to say that, but that ball moved around like nobody's business, and everybody on that team was ready to shoot, and everybody hit shots.
Well, that's the thing.
That was unexpected. That was unexpected.
Yeah, I think I was not surprised that they lost the series. I was a little surprised at how I don't want to say rattled. I don't know if the Knicks were rattled, but it was unfortunate that I don't think we saw the Knicks' best basketball.
Right.
Which you want to see. If you get beat, you get beat. That's why I think it was kind of that was the part that was disappointing. But
I was so nervous about the Cavs series because
me too.
The media was salivating because all they wanted to talk about was Donovan Mitchell, revenge series, and man, did they ever turn that on its head. I mean, that was so incredibly satisfying.
It was, and yet I feel like you know me. I'm not like the media does not give us any respect. I'm not that guy.
No, yeah, you're not that guy.
However, I'm thinking about it now. What a great fucking story that was. The Knicks didn't trade for Donovan Mitchell. This other team did, and the Knicks kicked the shit out of that team in the playoffs. I feel like maybe not quite enough was made about that. And you know why? Yep. I think though, because maybe immediately after they won, everybody was less focused on the series that was and more about, holy shit, can the Knicks go to the Eastern Conference Finals? And there wasn't as much attention on the Cavs series,
Right.
But
it's a lot of people just kind of resign themselves to feeling like, well, maybe we should have seen that this is the way it should have gone.
That's correct. Yes.
This was the deeper team. And also not the first time Jalen Brunson took it to Donovan in the playoffs. So,
yeah. I like our guy.
Oh, man. Oh, man, do I ever. My wife is getting a little jealous because she has to share me with him now. But yeah, I mean,
I think I said this before. I've had like a lot of different like favorite Knicks over the years, since the 90s, and him.
It's been a while though. It's been a while since I'm like, that's my guy.
That's the thing, is like he reminded me what it was to truly have a favorite player. And it's cool that we have him. Perhaps he'll come up. Okay. So we know the rules now. I'm going to say the name of the category and then the description that Andrew Claudio has generously written down. And I guess we'll start at the top unless Andrew says otherwise. So we're going to start with Best New Artist. And the description for this category is awarded to a Knick who performed amicably. Not sure. Is that the word that Andrew intended to use? Maybe that was a talk to text error. I don't know. Performed amicably. Maybe he meant admirably.
Admirably
is what I meant. Admirably. Yes. Apologies.
He could perform amicably as well.
Yeah.
Amicably and admirably.
We'll go admirably.
Yeah. Sure.
Well, that guy, he's a nice guy. He really gets along with the rest of the team.
Well, we'll see. We'll see who gets this award. So, performed admirably in his first season. In his first season. Yeah,
as a Knick, I took it as like with the team.
First season with the team. First season in the league. For whatever.
Yeah.
So not a ton of contenders for this award, but
no.
You're up first. So who? I have a feeling I know which way you're going to go. Who are you going to give this award to?
It's hard not to give it to Jalen Brunson, although there's a whole award later down the road that's just especially for him, and I don't want to be so overly on Jalen because I have him as in another category, but so I'm going to say more of a glue guy who the team all seems to really love, who had a rough start to the year. And ended up, really being incredibly important to the team. So I would say Isaiah Hartenstein is the guy. If you could give just about every category here, you could give to Jalen Brunson. So I think I'll hold off and I'll give it to Hartenstein.
The night and day with Hartenstein. Like don't forget he started off with a bang. Don't forget in that Memphis game.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. Played more minutes than Mitch, because I think I forget, either Mitch was ineffective or he was in foul trouble or whatever the case may be. And he had like maybe one or two other good games very, very, very early on, like those first week or two.
Right.
And then post games became he essentially became the Alfred That's great. He essentially became the Alfred Payton of the season, Hartenstein, for a solid 3 months. Man, I just can't.
Yeah, we'll also give him that's like our version of the Razzies, the Alfred Payton Awards.
Oh, we don't have to do that. I feel bad. I wonder what Elf is doing. Is he playing for basketball for a team? I hope he is somewhere.
Executive decision from up top. We are also adding the Alfred Payton Award to
great.
the rundown of.
I wonder who's going to get that.
We'll see. Listen, there's some contenders. Okay. Yeah. If you're giving it to Hartenstein and the qualification is that it is, again, performed amicably in his first season, admirably in his first season here. Since you went with Hartenstein, I'm going to give it to Josh Hart.
Yeah.
I can give it to a midseason acquisition, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
The best thing we could say about Josh Hart is they acquired him, and immediately I had some old heads commented on a few of the newsletters that week that they acquired him with this reminds me of the Busher trade. I think it's going to have the same impact. And I was trying to be kind, that I'm well, I'm happy you think that. David the Busher is one of the 75 greatest players who ever lived. And you know what? Josh Hart did a pretty damn good David Bush impersonation in terms of how well he fit in, his impact on the team, how much they obviously didn't lose after they traded for him. Mm-hmm. It's funny, like the NBA is, I think, more and more going in this direction where, it's about exploiting weaknesses. Like you want to put you want to be able to put 5 players on the floor, ideally, none of whom have like an explicit weakness. Maybe they don't know how have great strengths, but like all of them can shoot, all of them can pass, all of them can move without the ball, all of them can defend multiple positions, all these things. And like Hart, the hesitation with the shooting and the fact that he doesn't really want to shoot, we know he doesn't really want to shoot it. Like that should stick out like a sore thumb. I can't for 1 second let it dampen my enthusiasm for the fact that he's here. He's obviously going to extend. He's going to be a Knick for a long time. I love watching the dude. He like Brunson's my favorite Knick in a very, very, very long time. But like Hart is a guy, like I can't remember the last time I've enjoyed like that player type as much as I enjoy him.
Yeah, and also obviously the long relationship between the two of them is important for
100%
leadership purposes, for keeping Jalen Brunson happy, and the natural chemistry on the court that they already have together. It was a no-brainer. If people bitching and moaning about giving up a first-round pick for him, I'm like, that's old. Crazy. That's old Knicks crap. We would worry about that like, a few years ago. But at this point where the team's at, this is the type of person that you want on your team. You need a guy like him.
I agree. All right.
Wow.
So
how interesting.
What?
How interesting. You agree. We would be terrible on one of those ESPN like daytime shows.
I've been texting Andrew this summer, like a little behind the scenes. I'm like, we have to figure out a way to get spicier for next season. We need to up the spice level, and it's just so not in my nature, at least. I don't know. No. You're a pretty spicy guy, though. You're spicy.
Thank you. Yeah.
Sure. All right. Next up, Rising Star Award awarded to a Knick who took a leap forward this season. So I go first now for this one.
You go first.
Okay. I mean, I'm making sure because to me, I'm gonna take the obvious one. I'm gonna go with Emmanuel quickly. Like we did see. Let me even take a step back from like the first time he stepped on the floor as a Knick. I mean, his first extended minutes in the uniform were that. I mean, the preseason game, his rookie year against the Cavs, where he essentially stepped in as the starting point guard and had like 2 threes and a layup or whatever it was in the first quarter, and like dished some assists, and like he came out like wildfire, and like really from the start of his rookie season, it was clear that they had landed a real player. I still had a lot of doubts about what his, like how good he could be coming off of his second year. And I understand loyal listeners may hear me say that and then remember the fact that I've been tossing him into every such trade rumor over the last like month and a half and be like, well, clearly you still have doubts about him quickly. I don't have doubts about him. He's a really, really good NBA player. I do wonder whether or not he's ever going to be able to reach his ceiling on the same team as Jalen Brunson, which is like, I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, but in terms of guys who stepped up, I mean, like, I just can't, like, I lost track of the amount of nights that I would sit here talking about him after games and be like, this is the next third star, and
like the Celtics game.
Oh my, well, the Celtics game is like, I think there's an argument for that being the biggest game of the year.
Yeah.
The double overtime game.
And this is last season, the season before, never would have seen him doing the shimmies and the confidence that he has for himself now. It's incredible. I honestly could not have predicted that.
No, not to the level. And credit to people, because I think there are people out there who were like, no, we saw this coming all the way along. And I believe that, and credit to them for having that amount of faith in him. I did not have that amount of faith, and I was proven wrong because he blew away those expectations. So to me, he's the obvious answer. I don't know. Yes. Are you allowed to take the same one?
I put on my paper IQ.
No, you're not.
And Grimes.
He says.
It's a tie. Sometimes there's a tie. I would give it to both of them just because I think they both took huge leaps forward this season. IQ's is a little more obvious.
That's well said.
Like stat wise, obviously, like IQ. You look at all of his numbers from last year, this past year. Obviously, they went way up, and his on court just like persona, his confidence. It's eye test especially. Yeah, he's the obvious choice, but to me, like Grimes also like raised every single stat category for himself, and cemented himself as such a core piece of what they're trying to do.
I think he's good. I think Grimes is going to be here for the duration. I
hope so. The only thing I could see is if some star trade that we don't even know about yet is there. He's going to have to probably be involved.
I don't,
but maybe not.
I look at him as a guy who is. I think he will continue to be more valuable to the Knicks than he will be to any other team. Because they don't have another guy like him.
Also, if you talk to like fans of other teams, I'll talk to friends who don't watch the Knicks all that often.
Yeah,
and you mentioned like how like into Grimes you are. They're like,
yeah, because he's not flashy. Right. He doesn't pop off the screen really. I mean, he popped off the screen when he guarded Jimmy Butler on that possession on one leg, but like in terms of a guy who's going to guard the point of attack and then fire away at a high volume, at a high rate of accuracy on the other end, and can obviously put the ball on the floor. And like, Benji's made the point all throughout this year. Like if he was 2 inches taller,
yeah,
we'd be talking about a guy who he's going to be a $25 million a year player, $30 million a year player. Mm-hmm. And look, maybe he keeps growing his game and he gets to that point eventually. I don't know, but I know that the Knicks cannot afford to lose Gordon Grimes.
No,
so
especially with Jalen Brunson as your centerpiece in your offense.
Yes,
and especially on defense, you need somebody like Grimes next to him.
Completely agree. All right, next up, Best Supporting Actor awarded to the role player. Keyword role player that supported the Knicks' more important players the most this season. Now, Andrew Claudio has laid a guilt trip on us.
Yes,
because neither of us picked Money Mitch for the Rising Star Award. Apparently, Money Mitch has been snubbed. I'm gonna go. Hold on, I gotta ask you this because I'm always fascinated by this. Is there an Oscar loss? Talk about going off the rails. Is there an Oscar loss that really sticks in your craw? A guy or a gal that did not win for something, and you just.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
I forget who won. It was probably Tom Hanks because it's always Tom Hanks. But Mickey Rourke in The Wrestler.
It was not Tom Hanks.
I forget who beat him. Andrew, I'm sure, might know this off the top of his head.
This was Sean Penn, his second one.
Sean Penn.
I was about to say Sean Penn, but then I'm like, no, Sean Penn beat. My answer would be Bill Murray, Lost in Translation. That was Sean Penn for the one where his daughter died.
Mystic River.
Mystic River. Yes. Yeah. Look, I love me some Sean Penn.
Well, he's a flavor.
That's Bill Murray's also a great one. Yeah, would have been nice. But yeah, like that movie, The Wrestler, like was just saw this image pop up.
Great Marissa Tomei as well.
Yeah, I love that movie so much, and I just thought like it was his year. Like he was winning all the other awards.
Yeah,
and the narrative, and it was such a great story. It's like, hey, Sean Penn, come on. What
did he win for? Milk or something else? Now
I think it was Milk.
It was Milk. Okay.
Yeah, I think it was Milk.
A fine film.
Yeah, it's fine film. Like, look, but yeah, Mickey Rourke. And then I don't even remember what the other movies were this year off the top of my head, but I was always mad that Crash won for Best Picture.
Oh my God, that's
I
the
say
most
that.
egregious
I say
one
that
ever.
with a grain of salt because I love Bobby Moresco, who co-wrote that. But man, not a fan of that movie.
It's a very famous snub because that's the Brokeback Mountain year. Brokeback was supposed to win all the guilds, and then Crash won.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah.
Give me a break.
Not a great moment. Okay, best supporting actor. This is you're giving the best supporting actor award.
I'm going to give it to somebody who already got an award, but for me, it's Josh Hart.
Okay.
I think I think as soon as he arrived, he made everybody better. He does a lot of the dirty work. Like we didn't have a guy like him on the roster.
No,
that's willing to kind of do a little bit more of the dirty work, like get into guys' faces, get into people's heads. He's the antithesis of, in the best way possible, antithesis of Brunson. Brunson's just calm, cool, collected, all business. You need a guy who's isn't going to go full Draymond, but you need somebody like that. That's
you need someone
got a little more grit.
Yeah. Yes, gritty, but he's not going to disrupt he's not going to disrupt what you have going on internally like Draymond does sometimes. Right. He's a little too crazy, but
yes,
Josh Hart.
Exactly. That's what I mean. Yeah. Not full Draymond.
Not full Draymond.
But you have Marcus Smart type. You need those guys to win. And so to me, he changed the complete vibe of the team as soon as he arrived. And
that's a good one. I am gonna give it to Mitch, best supporting actor. I think if you're really into certain advanced stats, you may make the argument that Mitchell Robinson is not a supporting player, that he is indeed a star. A wolf in sheep's clothing, perhaps, if you will. I think he's a supporting player. I think the fact that you could still make a list of the top 10 centers in the NBA, and he might be on it. He might not be on it. I think it's a toss up. But the fact that it's a toss up means that he's a role player. He's still a role player, and he can be kind of nullified like a role player, like we saw him in the Miami series a little bit. Mm-hmm. Maybe not through completely I'm not saying it was his fault, but there are moments when Mitch could go away. All this is to say, this was his best season, without question. Clearly his best season. There were some fears about that contract when it got handed out to Mitchell Robinson. I don't think there are any such fears now. It's a good contract. And I think I will always have, for as long as he's our starting center, there will always be a part of me that wonders, because he is how much do you worry about the fact that Mitch is, he is what he is. He's a limited offensive player.
Yes.
Even
I could live with it even more if he was better at the free throw line.
But he's not.
I get a little irritated because, he does the thing in the off season where he talks a big game about he's working on his jumper and all that.
Well, he needs to be working on getting some sleep now because you said,
Yeah. Congrats to Mitch.
He got best supporting actor and a child. This is a great week. For him.
It's beautiful. But this is who he's going to be, and obviously the strengths outweigh the weaknesses to me. But offensively, the fact that we can't even run a simple pick and roll with him is a little frustrating.
Yeah, it is, and I would love him so much more if the Knicks had their version of, I'm trying to think of who, one of those teams that they have a center that's going to take them through the regular season. He's going to play 30 minutes a lot of nights, but come the playoffs against certain matchup, it's all right, we need to get a little bit more juice offensively in here. We're going to put this guy in. Hartenstein does a little bit of that, but Hartenstein's not a shooter. They don't,
right.
It's not quite, he's not Hartenstein's not really switchable defensively. So I wish they had, and I love Hartenstein, but don't get me wrong. I'm not saying this. I wish we didn't have Hartenstein, but I wish there was, if they're going to go forward with Mitch, and we'll see how much longer that happens with the whole Embiid thing out there. They had a little bit of a different sort of pivot that they could go to. Okay, so the next award is Best Foreign Film.
Well, pretty limited.
Awarded to the non-American player who deserves the most recognition for their performance this season. So I've had a hell of a day, and I'm just going to say, in full disclosure, sitting here right now, other than Isaiah Hartenstein, hold on, I'm looking at the Knicks roster right now. Oh, RJ Barrett.
Yeah. Yes.
RJ Barrett's foreign.
Oh, you don't want to give it to Evan?
Listen.
Well, now that we have a new category, I think we need
to complicated, buddy. It's complicated because he insulted his coach. So whereas you could give it to Evan.
Wait, hold on. He insulted his coach as in Evan insulted his coach, or Evan insulted my coach?
Yes,
both.
Your coach.
Yeah.
Your coach. That is no longer Evan 48's coach and Evan 48.
Wait, he insulted Pat Riley? I must have missed that.
That's...
And the strike. Buddy's good at writing.
I'm in the process of moving. I was packing up the first thing I did was pack up my bookshelves, and I just had to get rid of a lot of books because we were overloaded. One book I did not get rid of is The Winter Within.
Oh, I bet you did.
That's staying with me.
It's a great book. Yeah. My thought was if you wanted to give one to Hartenstein and then one to Fournier for what's funny is being a good sport is more the direction I was going with, and then some comments were made. So obviously that didn't happen.
So to make things fair and equitable, since Futty already gave Hartenstein an award, I will give this award to Isaiah Hartenstein. And it's also fitting because I always shit on RJ Barrett. So it would be weird for me to be like, what I'm going to award is RJ Barrett. Yeah. No, I loved Hartenstein this year. He was awesome. I talked about him already. And I'm excited to see him continue to grow and get even better as a player, because we forget, like, he's still a young guy.
Yeah,
he could still get better, and he
was coming into a new situation, and that's that takes some semblance of a learning curve, because the role he has on this team is not the same as his role was on the Rockets or the Clippers.
Yes,
so it takes some getting used to.
And funny enough, because Andrew just brought up my stand-up for the Knicks' current head coach. I think my biggest criticism of him this year is that we never really saw the full Isaiah Hartenstein arsenal in terms of his offense and being a fulcrum from like the top of the key and the whole thing.
Yeah,
and being able to really
great passer and
Tibbs has to figure out a way to tap into that more next year, especially now that we got DiVincenzo, who's a really good cutter. We saw him cut like a madman with the Warriors. Josh Hart's a really good cutter. Those guys are going to be on the floor with Hartenstein a lot. Maybe even a little bit of Miles McBride, who we did see get a little bit of a connection with Hartenstein going as the season went on. So, we'll see. I'm excited to see year 2 of Hartenstein in Knick uniform. And I will now turn it over to you.
I'm giving it to RJ. I love RJ. I'm sorry. I love him.
No, and look, I could give it to him.
And he showed out in the playoffs. I think a lot of people already have forgotten that. My goals for RJ, I think, have the goalpost has certainly moved since
in which direction?
Year one. Yeah. I find myself cutting him more and more slack.
Oh, okay.
I had thought that his ceiling was all-star. I don't necessarily see that in his future anymore. But I still, everyone, especially non-Knicks fans, like to break my balls about him because I was so high on him, just a year ago. But I feel like he was put into a tough spot when Jalen Brunson came because he needs the ball in his hands, and he was asked to kind of just change his game, just like that. Which is just not easy to do. And I thought he was really starting, and part of it may be because like Julius was so banged up, but he started to find himself in like how he can function with Jalen Brunson at such a higher level in the playoffs. I'm hoping that carries over.
it's funny, I don't think I've ever done this until right now, and I just thought of doing it. If you toss out the first two Cavs games, and you toss out the last game, which I'm comfortable tossing out the last game because nobody showed up for the last game other than Jalen Brunson. Yep. Yeah. And I didn't even mind his process in the last game. I thought he took good shots. They just weren't going in. It happens. But if you toss out those 3 games, first 2, last 1, in the other 8 playoff games, so 8 out of 11, that's a good sample size.
Yeah.
Shot 50% from the field, 49.6 to be exact. 38% from 3. Got to the line 6 times a game, shot 72% on those free throws. 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 22.5 points. 2.6 turnovers. The playmaking, he was making good passes, even if they were not translating into assists directly, because a lot of times his pass would lead to another pass that would be a good shot or whatever. Those 8 games, if you're someone like you, who you said you're so high on RJ Barrett going into last season, those are the 8 games that have to make you feel like I'm happy I didn't sell my stock.
Especially because, like, we're talking about playoff games. When the lights are brightest, he stepped it up. He really stepped it up.
And was there? Could I can't even, for as much as like the Garden crowd was rocking in that game 3 against the Cavs, the amount of pressure that I perceived to be on RJ Barrett's shoulders going into that game 3, because he did poo-poo in the first 2 games in Cleveland, and he came out and he just dominated. He was utterly dominant in that game.
We needed it. Obviously just turn the series completely, because coming off of game 2, morale was low.
Say that again.
Like low. I was like, oh, it's over.
It was
I know you were
low.
I found it hard to watch that post game. You were giving them their last rites.
I was extraordinarily worried, because my rationale in being very worried was, if Josh Hart doesn't hit the shot of his life, they lose game. I thought they would lose game 1, and then they got their doors blown off in game 2, and I forget. I was coming up with all kinds of stuff, and so I was really worried.
Yeah. So to me, that that game 3 performance just demonstrates what I'm hoping the future holds for him.
Fingers crossed. I mean, look, I don't think I let on. I'll just say it. I don't think I let on how sure I was that he was going to get traded, because that's not accurate. But like, much like they tried to move him last summer, I thought there would be an equal, sort of push to move him this summer. Not because they didn't want him around or anything, but I thought I was assuming that because of his playoff performance and, with a nice fair contract, the whole thing, I thought they'd be able to find a trade where they got what they perceived to be good value. And I that's why I was like, I was figuring that he was going to be involved in a trade. And I don't think it's going to happen now. I think he's going to be here for year 5. And like, all of a sudden you look up and it's like, man, he's been around. It's 4 years already, and it's going on to year 5. So
yeah,
big time, Nick. What's next? Oh, well, no, we'll save this one for last. So we're going to do the Alfred Payton Award. We don't have a description for the Alfred Payton Award.
The Alfred Payton Award is given to the Knicks that had the biggest lightning rod on them that may or may not have been deserved to be so this season. Alfred Payton Award, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, just the name sends shivers down my spine.
Oh, come on. He gets a...
No, I know. He's a human being. I'm sorry. He's a person. He's a person. I'm sorry.
I just don't think he was as bad as people. I listen.
I would hate this many people to publicly just who don't even know me to just hate my guts.
All I'll say,
what a weird feeling that must be in life.
We saw what the wrong point guard could do to this team, not this past season, but the year before that. And I love Kemba Walker. And Kemba Walker's a great dude.
Yep.
I don't know if he's getting in the Hall of Fame, but like he's like one notch below that. He wasn't as good a fit for the team as Alfred Payton was. That's just a fact. Am I wrong?
Andrew.
I'm not wrong.
I don't think either answer was right, John.
Okay. Yes, obviously. I'm not going to sit here and stand for Elfrid Payton, but
like
that guy,
I think you're leaning toward the Stan squad of it all.
He was treated as the human embodiment of rabies for the entirety of his time here, which was,
and the lineup data and the eye test and everything demonstrates that the minutes he was playing were holding this team back, and it was a sign of things to come, not for nothing. And it was evident that 3 minutes into the playoffs, he got benched for the rest of the playoffs. It's almost as if the coach was trying to hold on for dear life. And, well, I mean, John, do we want to go down this road of things his mom said and then reactions to things his mom said?
No, we don't.
No.
Okay, let's move on. I'm giving this one out. The Elfrid, I'm giving this one out, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
No, you're giving it one out because I gave a Fournier award. You give it out first.
I mean, it has to be Fournier, right?
You can give it to Fournier.
I think I have to. And again, he gets a lot of unwarranted criticism. He's just a guy who wanted to play, and he was a guy who, for the first however many seasons of his career, was a starter, and he was used to that, and that had to be tough. But it was obvious that a change in the rotation worked, and the main change in the rotation was taking him out of it. So for him to feel like this was some slight against him, and it wasn't. I mean, you got to be realistic with yourself and see that that change actually made this team better. So
it did, and again, that's not Fournier's fault, but no. The reality is the reality. Okay, I will give it to Cam Reddish. Look, man, maybe it's gonna happen in LA.
We're gonna for the end of time. There's gonna be people. He's gonna be playing in China, and people are gonna be watching his stats and going, "Look, guy's a bucket. Can't believe we let him go. Guy's a bucket."
You know who I give all the credit in the world to? A guy who was, talk about a Cam Reddish comp. Dennis Smith Jr. was essentially out of basketball. And again, like Cam, once upon a time, Dennis Smith Jr. was, if not the number one recruit in the country, he was like right there. And then he had, I forget what his injury was in high school, but like prior to NC State, and then NC State didn't go very well. But like Dennis Smith Jr. last year was like, shit, I just got to defend my ass off. I got to bear down. I got to use everything I got to make myself the best defensive player I could be. Still can't shoot it, but like did enough stuff on offense and defended his ass off. And now he's got a shot to continue his career with the Brooklyn Nets. And I think he's I think he's a good backup point guard in the league. But he's an
NBA player.
Yeah, exactly. It took nearly bottoming out for him to realize, like, well, shit, I guess things aren't going to work out the way I thought they were going to work out, but that doesn't mean I still can't have a career. But it's about, taking your medicine and swallowing hard and accepting some unpleasant realities. And we'll see if, we'll see maybe Cam does that in LA. Okay. Now I forgot. This is the other award that I pitched last minute. So best cinematography. This could be a quick one. Yeah. Snapshot from this season that will most stay with us as Knicks fans. So this,
you go first on this one. Yeah. I have two, and I have a feeling you're going to say one of them. So I'm going to
say you said it already. It's if the honest answer, because it's like, what's the first one that comes into my head? It's Quickly dancing on the Boston Garden floor.
That's a pretty good one.
Yeah. What are your, or was that one of your two, or do you have two different?
It was actually not. Actually, I have three.
Okay.
But one of them I pulled away because the Heat ended up beating us in the playoffs. But the shot of Riley. That was the other one I had in my mind. Julius hitting the game winner. But my other two we mentioned before, the Grimes play in the playoffs. I mean, man, yeah, we're going to be seeing like a replay of that for a long time. I'm sure they're going to show it on the Jumbotron at MSG
absolutely
all year next year. And hopefully in the future, if he, depending on what his career looks like, what his trajectory is, that'd
be so cool if that turned out to be the moment that like it started in full for him. That would be cool.
My other one is C1 Send One.
If you're only listening, you're not watching on the YouTube.
The Jalen Brunson 3-point stank hand, whatever we want to call it.
The stank hand.
The stank hand.
It's a good. That's a great call. The stank hand. We should all have a little bit more stank hand in our lives. Okay.
Cool. Oh, okay.
Right? As Andrew types in Jesus into the chat. Jesus can't help you now. Okay. Just going to move on. All right. Last but not least, we're giving this in unison.
Oh, we're doing this in unison? Can I say, like, precursor to this, you want to say what the award is?
The award is the Jalen Brunson Award, awarded to Jalen Brunson for how much Jalen Brunson was Jalen Brunson this season. That is the description, courtesy of Andrew Claudio.
Yep.
But you could go first.
No, I thought we were doing a different one. I didn't know we were actually doing this one.
What else is there?
The Make-A-Wish? The Make-A-Wish one?
The Make-A-Wish Award.
Yeah.
Oh, the Make-A-Wish one.
John.
Well, we could do this in conjunction with the Jalen Brunson Award. Because the Make-A-Wish Award is who do I wish the Knicks get to be a co-star alongside Jalen Brunson.
Keep saving a butte.
How about like another Jalen Brunson? How about we have two Jalen Brunsons? That'd be nice. It wouldn't defend very well, but I was going to say so I thought we were doing that award, and it's funny because if this was like a couple, like 2-3 years ago, I would have said Dame in a heartbeat.
No.
Dame has long been my favorite non-Knick in the league. I've turned that tide a little bit since all the goings on this offseason. But I mean, there are three big ones that I would love to see on this team.
Okay.
Giannis.
Okay.
We're shooting for the stars, right? I mean,
it's shooting star or whatever. Yeah. What's Make-A-Wish? Yes.
Yeah. Make-A-Wish. This is like the Paul O'Neal needs to hit 3 home runs in the game kind of Make-A-Wish, which he does. Which he does. So Giannis, SGA, and then Mikal Bridges. Those are probably the three that I'd most like to have on this team.
Okay. I'm trying to think which of those three I think is the most realistic.
I mean, probably Mikal, right? I mean, actually, you never know.
So I just don't think the Nets will never trade Mikal Bridges to the Knicks.
I mean, that's their biggest asset at this point.
Yeah, and they view him as their cornerstone moving forward. They view him as their Jalen Brunson. Right. I think. I don't think that's an overstatement.
I don't know about that. But I mean, I love him. If I was a Sixers fan, I would never want to see him play ever again.
My God. For a future Lakers pick, and right, I think it was the future Lakers pick or some future pick that did not end up being all that great. And then
Zaire Smith.
Yes, I was blanking on his name for a second.
Woof. Yeah, I can't imagine why.
I don't know who I think. I don't know if SGA. I think OKC is going to be really good for a really long time. I believe in what they're doing, and I just, he's always going to get paid because he's going to be an All-NBA guy. He's going to keep getting supermaxes. So I don't know if I see that one. God, am I really going to sit here and be like Giannis is the most likely of those three? I don't know.
I mean, that's crazy.
That is crazy. I'm going to go with Embiid. I've never been able to quit Embiid.
I do love him.
I just think he's going to. I will not back off this hill. That he's going to lead a team to a championship one day. I don't know if it's going to be Philly or some other team. I still think it's going to happen, and I wouldn't mind it happening here in New York for the Knicks specifically.
Can I say a side wish that I've had that came to mind that is probably like a very insane idea to have, but how, like, especially on this team, given the 9-man rotation, like how often in the playoffs do you even get to that 15th guy?
Who do you want?
Patrick Ewing. Get that man a ring. Get that man a ring.
Is he 60? He's got to be 60.
Yeah, got to be.
I wonder what his son maybe is playing.
Imagine the team comes out of the tunnel and Patrick Ewing is dressed up on the sideline.
And
we get that man a ring. Like there's a blow up playoff game where he comes in, he plays like the last minute.
Who's the oldest NBA player to ever step foot onto a court? I got to think it's the Chief, right? Robert Parrish?
Got to be the Chief.
Either him or Kevin Willis might be up there too.
Yeah. How old was Parrish in his last, when he was, what was he on the Bulls? The Raptors?
I do believe oh man, I want to say, was there a Robert Parrish on the Hornets moment?
I have a list as we've gone completely off the rails.
So you're right. He ended with the Bulls, but he was on the Hornets for 2 years before that.
So Nat Hickey of the Providence Steamrollers in 1948 was 45 years old and 363 days. Kevin Willis is second on this list at 44 years old, with Robert Parrish third. And then recently, Vince Carter at 43 years and 45 days. And was about to, I think he had just turned, he had just turned 43 because the pandemic happened. And then Udonis Haslem and Dikembe Mutombo are the next couple. With the captain, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, next on the list.
It's good. Not a bad list. You got to be good to play that long.
Yeah.
Will
put that 15th man, baby.
I'll settle for Taj as the 15th man. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Now the Jalen Brunson Award, which we'll do quick. Give me, what's your favorite Jalen Brunson memory of the season?
Man, that's so hard. I have
one. I have one handy, so I'll go with it. I think for me, it's funny enough, for as much as he ended the playoffs with a 41 point game and then a 38 point game the game before that. Amazing stuff. Incredible stuff. For me, it was the final regular season Cavs game, because
it's a good one.
For my entire life, our entire lives, because we're about the same age, we've been watching, and I wrote this the next day, or at some point I wrote it, but we've been watching stars from other teams go on the court against the Knicks and dispense with whatever we had to offer with much haste, and just treat us like we weren't even there, because we did not have one of those guys that could go toe to toe. And the closest thing we had to one of those guys who could go toe to toe, or the two closest, I should say, were Carmelo Anthony and Patrick Ewing. And those two guys just so happened to often be compared with / matched up against maybe the two greatest players who ever lived, Michael Jordan and LeBron James. So it was Melo was great, but then you look across the court and it's LeBron, and it's like, what the fuck's the difference? And in that game, Donovan Mitchell came out in that game in the first quarter and was he put on his own little Michael Jordan show in the first quarter of that regular season game, hitting everything. I think if he didn't score 20 in the first quarter, it was close. And Jalen Brunson was like, okay, I got you, and I'm going to give it right back, and I'm going to do you one better. And he was better than him that game. Finished with 48. I think he missed a couple free throws late that would have given him 50. But his performance in that game, and just in as if we needed it, which we didn't, but a full assertion, we got one of those guys now. that was so cool, and that will stay with me for such a long time. It was awesome. It was a really cool night to see.
I guess I would say game 5 against the Heat, just because he had a sensational game, and it saved us from getting knocked out at MSG. To me, that
would have been unfortunate.
Which would have been such a brutal blow to end the year like that in front of the home crowd. So, I'd probably say that.
On my birthday.
There you go. But the fact that I have to really think about it, I mean, there's so many amazing games. Did he hit a game winner against the Nuggets at MSG?
He didn't have a game. The play from that game that I will remember, I think the most, is I think he threw an alley-oop to Mitch that it was after Mitch blocked or got a piece
and then Mitch,
a Jokic 3 or something.
Yeah, and then Mitch ran the floor.
Yeah, and then Mitch ran the floor.
Yeah.
I mean, the funny thing was early on in the season, it was the game winners he missed. There were 3 different game winners. I think he had a chance to win it against, or win or tie against, what were the 3? Memphis, Milwaukee, and I want to say there was one more, and then he had the missed free throws
Toronto.
against Toronto. Thank you. Yep. And then he had the missed free throws against the Bulls. So it could have been better because he left some stuff he left some meat on the bone, but his clutch stats were awesome. He had so many massive clutch plays that I think the reason you're sitting here now and you can't think of an exact moment is because it just became commonplace. Yeah. So the last 5 minutes of the game, give the ball to Jalen Brunson and watch him score. He did it so often. And
not worry and not cringe and not go, I hope this goes in, because man,
it was shocking when it didn't go in.
Right. Yeah. More often than not, man, he's just we haven't had a guy like that in so long. It's amazing.
Yeah, I don't know that I've ever felt quite this way about a player on the Knicks. And not to say he's the best player I've ever seen play for the Knicks, to be very clear.
Yes.
But just a certain something. All right. I have to go because my daughter's getting home from camp. You have to go. You have a picket line, I'm sure.
Yeah, I gotta go walk the picket line and
walk the line, as it were.
That's right.
This was great, man.
Yeah. Good to see you.
It's great to see you. I keep saying I'm going to make it out to LA. It's going to happen one of these years. I think the latest iteration of our master plan is we're talking about maybe spending a few weeks in Hawaii one of the next couple summers, but doing a stopover in LA and spend a few days in LA.
Yeah.
So maybe that's how it happens.
Especially you're coming with the fam.
Coming with the fam.
You want to split that.
Oh yeah.
That trip up with the kiddos.
Yes.
Yeah. So come to LA first.
You'll take me around.
Don't fly. Yeah. Don't fly from New York to Hawaii. Split it up a little bit.
We're not doing that. Buddy, I'd ask you if there's anything you want to plug. Well, no, you have none.
I'm not allowed to. I'm not allowed to plug anything, at least in the business. But
so, what non-business stuff that you're allowed to plug or promote?
Go check out the Knicks. They play basketball at MSG. They're the team I like, the team I root for. And given how bad the Yankees are this year, I'm very desperate for football and basketball to start up again. So
that's fair.
Yeah.
Good stuff, man. Pleasure as always. Everybody out there, if you're not following David Futernick, go follow David Futernick on Twitter. After all this nonsense is over, you will see him on screens again. You'll probably see him on screens in the interim. He just can't tell you about it.
That's right.
But follow his Twitter and you'll know what's going on from that. And always a pleasure, man.
Ditto.